Good evening, everyone. It's Sunday night. Although in the U.S. it is Memorial Day weekend, so I don't know if anyone's watching this tonight, but we're going to go on with the show anyway. It is Sunday night, which means that it is Sunday Night Teacher Talk, and the reason behind that is that when it is not a 3-day weekend, or in my case, 4-day weekend, then you don't have to worry about this stuff. Like you're like out barbecuing and stuff like that on these weekends. However, the idea behind this is to go on and like be productive, like be ready to take on the end of the school year. Next week is my last full week of school. And it's actually only Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. And then Friday, there's some kind of like move up day ceremony thing, which means we don't really have classes. And the interesting thing behind that is that it is what am I thinking of? So other people have until, I talked to someone the other day, it doesn't finish school till like June 26th, which is like basically fall. I don't know who goes that late, but that's it. What's up, Tracy Pinter? So look, the idea here is that you ask questions, I answer them if I don't know them, or if I don't know them, I just throw them right into the comment section there because I am not the master of all things. And then even if I do know the answer, a lot of times, folks, you can look in the comment section. They will speak back to you. They'll give you ideas and hints and stuff. And if that's not enough, I just want to remind people that we have a closed Facebook group, which is Real Rap with Reynolds Teacher Talk on Facebook. It's a closed group. It's only for educators or people that want to get into education. So it's a safe space to kind of like share what you're doing. There's over 1,000 people in there now sharing ideas and answering ideas and all that kind of stuff. And it's pretty safe. We've only like kicked like 2 people out, I think, ever, and that's because they were trying to sell something, and that's the only reason that they were there. So look, as we're getting into this, you can put your questions in the comment section. I'd be happy to answer any of those. And just so everyone knows that I am booking now for the late summer and fall for speaking engagements at different schools, colleges, PDs, stuff like that, where a lot of folks use, content that they find on YouTube. But if you want the live in-person version of Reynolds, all you have to do is just shoot me an email, let me know when you're doing it, and I'll let you know my availability and my rates, and we can kind of take it from there. So just to put that out there. So yeah, what's up, everybody? I see everyone jumping in here on the side. I thought for sure there's actually, this is about 3 times as many people as I thought. I thought it was going to be like me and 3 other people on here tonight because it's Memorial Day weekend, but I really appreciate everybody coming on here. So I'm going to jump in. Is Diana Forbes, hey everyone, I'm waiting at the movies to watch John Wick 3.
We go Friday.
In the meantime, Reynolds. So we're going on Friday to go see that. We wanted to go opening night, but for one reason or another, it didn't happen. But I don't know, maybe 10, 11 years ago, all of a sudden my wife got into like action movies, right? I was watching Roadhouse one night, classic action movie starring Patrick Swayze. And my wife was making fun of me about what I was watching. And then she like slowly but surely like kind of sat down on the arm of the couch, then sat on the edge of the couch. Then she was just finally sat back. She's like, "This is pretty good." I'm like, "Yeah, it's freaking Roadhouse." Or Point Break was another one you made fun of me for.
I know, and I love Point Break.
And now.
So you really started my guilty pleasures of cheesy action movies are like my fave.
I don't know cheesy. I think over the top action movies.
Well, like cheesy
John Wick is
one-liners.
not.
No, John Wick's not cheesy, but I love those like The Rock. Like The Rock has all these great cheesy one-liners.
We saw Skyscraper in the movie theater. Like
love it. What's the
I'll
one? Oh, Transporter. I love Transporter also.
Yeah.
I love those movies.
Here we go. And now we go see. We saw John Wick 2 opening night.
We did.
You got any questions for me?
Yes.
Awesome. Connor is asking, I took a job as a 5th and 6th grade math teacher, been teaching 7th to 12th for the past 3 years. Any pieces of advice on me as I embark on my new journey? Yeah, I would find out from other 5th and 6th grade teachers what the move is there. I can only imagine that like the things that I say and do in my 9th grade class would probably not fly in the 6th and 7th or 5th and 6th grade class. So this is one of those things where like I would first of all, you know what I would do? I'd read Ray Festivit's book. Not like I don't recommend that guy enough, but he teaches 5th grade in Los Angeles, or taught 5th grade in Los Angeles. That's who I would look to. And then I would go into the teacher talk group and see like what folks are doing. What are their tips, tricks? What do they wish they knew when they got started? And then I would just start looking up lessons. I don't know what you're allowed to do, if it's scripted or not scripted, or if they give you the curriculum or not. But like either way, I would start just looking up stuff online. And I always start with the word great. Great Lord of the Flies lesson plan is way better than like Lord of the Flies lesson plan. Because then you just find out from, some kid that's in college that wrote a theoretical lesson plan one time. Chantel, I think I'm saying that right, is saying, if you take a day off, personal day, not for illness, does it get deducted from your pay? Nope. So we have personal days, but I do have friends that have taken too many days and they've had their days, they've had time deducted from their day. I don't know that they could do this in a really big school, because folks that are in the union, like, are tied into certain rules and stuff. I've been pushing for at my school, I think people should have unlimited time off. I just think, and if you take too much time off, like if you're not producing results, if your students don't have what they need, I just think that that's fine. Maybe it's like a suggested. So I get, at this point, I think it's 12 or 13 days off a year for like sick matched with personal time. And I don't need to have a note for sick time or anything like that. But like, if this year my grandmother was sick and then she passed away, I was in the hospital with her for like 2 weeks before that, because the hospital sucked. We were at a hospital here in Jersey, and one night they left like the tourniquet, like rubber band thing on her arm. Her whole arm turned purple. And so I just decided I wasn't going to leave the hospital anymore. And I just stayed there as much as I could. Left as soon as she fell asleep, came back as soon as she woke up, that kind of thing. So if you're in a situation like that, or if your kids are sick, or if my dog was sick, like those are things you can't help losing days for. So like, or I think that I should be able to give my days to someone else. So if I know I have a friend at school who's going through some really big life changes right now, and he got docked pay, and I wish I could have just given him my days to help him out in his situation, because he can't afford to get pay docked right now. And I had more days than I was going to use before the end of the year anyway. Deanna is at, I used to have Deanna as a student. I haven't heard that name since then, actually. Deanna is asking, I'm coming to the end of the teacher training course, but I still feel like I have room to progress. I'm not a teacher that I want to be yet. Is it normal? Okay. Will I continue to learn? Of course. So look, I'm sorry I read that all wacky. Yes, you will always continue. I think the way to do that, though, is focus on one or two things this year that you're going to get better at. So is it classroom management? Is it vocabulary? Is it teaching math? Is it having more engaging lessons? Is it having more culturally responsive teaching? Like, what is it you're trying to hone in on? And then go deep on that one or two things. It's like when you go to the gym, you don't work out your whole body every single time you go to the gym, right? You have arm day and leg day and other day, neck day. I don't know. You ever do neck day? No. She doesn't even listen to me when she's doing this. This is what we were just talking about. So that's what I would do, is like just focus on those few things each year and then try and go deep. Read every book, every article, watch every YouTube video, go to every seminar that you can on that particular topic, and then try and get better at that. That's what I would do.
You mentioned a book to Connor Guter. What's the name of the book? Teach Like Your Hair's on Fire?
Yeah, I would do Teach Like Your Hair's on Fire. I'll type it in there. So you have Teach Like Your Hair's on Fire. Sorry, I can't multitask. It is one of the downfalls of my life. Yeah. All right. Erica Hernandez is asking, second ed student here. I'm currently taking a classroom management course. Know of any good books about management or just education in general? So for classroom management, here, look, I'm going to ask other people in the comments if you have a book title about classroom management. I don't know of any, and this is why, because I feel like most books that I read were either teachers that went from very difficult schools to easy schools. They were like, oh, I think I figured out classroom management. I'm like, I think you figured out how to go to a school that doesn't have classroom management. Or they're from folks that taught for like 5 minutes and they're like, all right, I have this great book on, student engagement. And it's like, but you only taught for a year. Like, and that was it. And then you like left and now you speak and just write. And there's nothing, I guess, wrong. Maybe there's something wrong with that. It's weird. So yeah, that's why I don't have an answer for that. I think, not only my videos, but I think there's some really good videos on YouTube about classroom management. And although she doesn't make any YouTube content anymore, I think One Fab Teacher has like some of the most straightforward answers that anyone's ever put on social about that kind of thing. Or I would much rather learn those things through conferences, because then you can ask questions and bounce things off. Look, and classroom management in theory is going to be difficult anyway. What you're going to do is like, once you start teaching, you want to start digging deep and like knowing where those resources were, so you know where you can pull from when you're having particular issues. Because, and just know this, right? I just told a mentee this the other night. I was mentoring someone, and I was saying how there's only so many types of kids, it seems to me. There's every once in a while, there's like one that like breaks the mold, but for the most part, there's like a set number of types of behaviors. And every time you try something and it works or it doesn't work, you're essentially collecting tools to put into your toolbox. And then you are getting ready for what you're doing next. And for that kid that shows up next year, there's the kid that comes in, puts his head down, doesn't want to do any work, the kid that touches everybody else, the kid that comes in unprepared all the time, the kid that's late all the time and makes a big scene getting to a seat. That kid shows up year after year. And that could be sort of like daunting to you that you're going to have those problems again and again and again. Or it's like, what's coming. When you're boxing, there's only so many kinds of punches you're going to get, right? But once you learn how to deal with them, you just become a better fighter. And yeah, and I think that's. Oh, I thought you had a question on there. I got you. I'm gonna drink some water while you're doing it instead of singing a song. Tonight it's very clear. Oh, yeah. We're both lying. All right. M is asking, I am student teaching in the fall, emotional behavioral disorders K through 5. First of all, fantastic. And I'm worried I'll struggle to transition from being in teacher education to actually teaching advice. So yeah, look, everyone is going to struggle through that. If you, and I hate to overuse boxing metaphors, it's not like I ever even boxed. I've been like
and you don't even watch boxing.
I think I was in 2 fights in my life. Come on, babe. I'm
You're tough, is that right?
I know. I'm that manly man.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that talks about boxing
and gardening.
I do like gardening. But whenever you're practicing anything, the first few meets, right, or games or whatever, are going to be tough, right? So like hitting a ball that your dad's pitching you is going to be much different than the person that is pitching a ball to you like in a game. I think you go in with that growth mindset though, of not imagining it's going to be worse than it is, but not being optimistic, but just knowing like, okay, these are the places that I need to grow. And sometimes those are things you have to grow in really quickly. Sometimes it can take time, but being kind with yourself and knowing that this is a skill, it's a craft. It's not something that you learn overnight. So you wouldn't, just thinking about the first time you do anything, right? From like playing drums in front of a crowd to making out with someone. No one expects you to be like the greatest thing ever. Just like take your time and be nice with yourself and make sure to ask questions, a lot of questions. And then what you're doing there is you're taking ownership of your own shortcomings instead of just kind of like sweating that you're not good enough. It's like, all right, clearly not good enough at like getting everyone quiet so I can get directions out. I'm clearly not good enough at getting kids to put their things away at the end of class and making sure my room is neat. Clearly not good enough at getting kids engaged quick enough, or dealing with kids and not getting in a power struggle. Like, those are all things that you only learn how to do by trying. So college is really like trying to get tools in your toolbox, but then when you get there, it's like knowing how to use them in a like quick way or something like that. I started thinking about nunchucks for some reason.
Oh
I don't know why.
What's going on?
That's another thing I've never used in my life. I probably hit myself in the face with them.
Here, this isn't really a question, but you probably should speak to it.
Okay. This is not a question, but I'll speak to it. I can't. Straw Hat Zulfi? I think that's right. My first year of teaching is coming to a close, and beyond exhausted and stressed. I hardly have time for myself. I feel like I'm always working, and I'm not sure if I can do this for the rest of my life. So look, man, I would say this, dude. It is imperative that you look, the job is never done, right? There's always ongoing business. What you don't want to have is unfinished business. So what I mean by that is, like, when I first started teaching, I remember my wife asking me, like, hey, are you done your lesson plans? Hey, are you done working? I'm never done working, right? It's like anything else. It's like exercise. Like, you're never done. There's always something else you could do, or housework. There's always something else that you could do. But are you doing it? And so I'm thinking like this. If you don't put time and energy into yourself, it is very, very difficult to be the best version that you can be. And I'm horrible at this. Like, this is real Rap with Reynolds for a reason. I have a very hard time shutting things off. So what I'll do is we just had this conversation recently. I rush. Like, I go full speed out sprint, getting as much stuff as I can done for hours, days, week, months. And then I crash completely because I wasn't doing anything, because I wasn't hanging out with friends. I wasn't laughing. I wasn't doing anything at home for fun. I was like cutting back on time with my family, or with my dog, or with my wife, or with anything. And then I just crash hard, and it's like, I can't go on anymore. And it's like, dude, if you would have just freaking ran for the long run and not the sprint, I think it becomes not just easier, but it just becomes more fun than that. Like, when you go into school and you're feeling burnt out and worn out, you just don't teach. You have to have better sort of like classroom management, because you just can't even roll with certain stuff. When I'm in a good mood, things that kids do just don't piss me off. I never lose my shit in class, like when I'm feeling at my best. But when I'm feeling tired and worn out and like all that stuff, then I'm just like, now I just am like, I'm over all of it. I don't feel like dealing with it. So I think finding out the things that are your non-negotiables every single week, no matter what, that are going to fill you up. They make you better going back into it. And look, maybe ask a friend to kind of look out for you in that as well. Like, I know my wife is the one that's like, nah, dude, we need to, like, so last week sucked. The whole week was just like a problem. And on Thursday night, I came home because I had off on Friday. Like, we didn't have anything for dinner. I was like, didn't know what the hell I was going to do. But my mother-in-law's visiting. So my wife was like, let's go get beers and go out for dinner somewhere. And so I did. And I had like this totally decadent.
No, but you were really cranky and didn't want to do it. And
I didn't.
All of this stuff.
I wanted to come home and do work.
Well, no, or just complain and be pissed off. And so I said, like, you need a mind, like, a mind shift. And so I said, I made him go. I said, we have a babysitter. We never have babysitters. Take advantage of it. I said, let's go do something for us, even if it's simple.
She did.
A beer and dinner. I said,
she put me in a headlock.
30 minutes out. It was an hour, and that was it.
And it just made things.
It changed everything.
Make it all better, but.
No, but you just your mind space, which is like half the battle. It's like That's the biggest, I think, battle of anything is our minds. It is.
And it's changing your like, so running helps with that stuff too. But like, yeah. So anyway, I think just hang in there and see. But I think you'll find also that the summers are really rejuvenating as well. I feel like my summers, but it's always like like end of August where I'm like, all right, now I'm ready to go back. But like, if I don't know, there's times in the middle of July where I'm like, I still don't feel good. Vin is asking, any teachers like you aren't connecting with their students well enough? What? Oh,
And
is he
then
just asking it to the
solution.
group?
Yeah, but then
Okay.
I don't know.
Like they aren't friendly enough to. Oh my gosh, I'm having a really wild time reading this
Because
evening.
your brain's going fast.
Yeah.
Relax.
Like they aren't friendly enough to even say bye when they leave. As someone with mild social anxiety, it bugs me a little. Solution: teachers feeling like you aren't connecting with your students well enough. I think here's the thing. I read this today. I think trying to focus on students that you are connecting with or that you can connect with is really, really important sometimes. We tend to look at things that we are looking at and then miss out on all the other stuff that's going around, right? This is why I like practice gratefulness, because there's a ton of stuff in my life to be grateful for. And on days when I get news that I don't like, that a friend pissed me off, that something went wrong, that the school didn't do something that I like, I can go, they're always doing that, or they never help, or this always happens. And instead, I'm not trying to be like too woo-woo here, but like I did this sort of experiment, right? And the experiment was for 10 seconds as I was driving, which is maybe not the safest time to do this. I thought the experiment was look at everything that's red for 10 seconds. Everything in your world, right? From the flag to the truck to the steps to the little toy car on the lawn, like all the stuff that is red. And then the experiment is to close your eyes for 10 seconds and think of everything that's yellow around you. And so, although now I'm saying this out loud, this is not a good idea to do while you're driving. I would maybe while you're a passenger in a car, pull over for a second. But you can't think of anything that's yellow because you were only focusing on the red things. But when you open your eyes, you notice there's a yellow house. There's actually two yellow houses right next to one another. And the car parked in front of it is yellow. And that kid has yellow jacket on. You start noticing all of these things. And so I think when we are struggling to find what we want, we need to really put some intention behind focusing on that thing. And I think that thing tends to show up, right? It's like I never saw the type of car that I drive nearly as much as when I got it. When I finally got that car, I'm like, freaking everybody, there's like two of them on my block, but I never noticed them before. Or my wife drives a RAV4. I never noticed RAV4s before in my life, but now I see them everywhere. And several teachers at my school, as a matter of fact, have those cars. So I think it is looking for things like that. And then just, I think they multiply over time. So find those kids that like have a hard time saying goodbye, like, or be the one to initiate it. And if somebody doesn't say hi back to you, I give them the sonic boom hello. If I say hi to someone in the hallway and I work with some miserable curmudgeon, then I always just say, the next time I say it like super loud, not in an obnoxious way, but like almost like I am excited to see you. I'm going to let you know it. And now you are going to feel awkward. Not me, because I'm like, hey man, hey, what's up? It's like, yo, my man, good seeing you. Something stupid like that, because that's how I roll. I think that's how you win. Eric Johnson is asking, hey, Mr. Reynolds, what would you say to teachers who go through alternative certification programs are less valued in the professional education setting? Look, Eric, that's a really good question. My guess would be yes. And my guess, the reason why is, and I've told this story before, but like once went from Camden and I was not making enough money in Camden. Like when I worked in Camden, New Jersey, I made like less money than I did working full-time at Home Depot in college. But I was down for the cause, so I wanted to do it. When I tried to switch jobs to a more, not a really affluent district, but like a mixed district, but it was in a really up and coming town, I went to community college and I went to a 4-year school in Jersey named Rowan University. And if you're from Jersey, you know about it. But if you're from anywhere else in the world, you never heard of the school in your life. And so in doing that, I was just completely discounted when I tried to get the job there, because the person that got the job over me was someone with no teaching experience, but their undergrad was from Harvard and their master's degree was from Penn. And it's like, I didn't even get a chance to show like my personality, my passion, my work ethic, like, which is like beyond reproach. But I think it was how do I beat someone like that? So when you look at someone that did not go to school for education, that went to school for something else, maybe from a school that, I don't know what school you went to, that might be, I just think there's nothing you can do about that. So you go get the job that you can. And then I think you just crush the hell out of that job. And whether that's the school that you decide to stay at, or whether it's to get your to make your mark, I say go in and make your mark immediately. And don't wait to be the kind of teacher you always wanted to be. Like, go full force. And, you know, I remember like, sort of like David Lee Roth, who was the lead singer for Van Halen, once talked about how he like said Van Halen coming up had to be good because they were playing music for money. He said it's a different, here we go, another boxing metaphor, but it's different boxing for fun than it is for money. When you box for money, you got to win. So when you're coming into a situation as an alternative route person or getting your certificate through some alternative means, you have to go in and crush right away. I think, because it will set you apart and show that like that certification wasn't the thing that was going to define you. It was your ability to teach and care for the students that was. Megan is asking, hey Reynolds, I seem to be spending a ridiculous amount of time grading. Any tips on how to grade or what kind of assignments I can give to make sure I'm not grading all night, every night? Yeah, so I think there's a couple of things that I do here. One, and this pisses people off, but I'm going to say it anyway. I think there's nothing wrong with throwing an assignment away every once in a while. It's not something I do every week. It's not something I do every day or even like once a semester, right? But like, or marking period. But like, it is something that I occasionally do because sometimes you get backed up. Sometimes it's just, you're going to teach better if you just get rid of that. And, or mark for completion. Did the kid do it? You get 100 then. If you did half of it, you get a 50. If you did none of it, you got a 0. And I'll even tell them like every once in a while, if you did it, you got 100, right? Because I'm backed up and I had a test for 2 classes that I'm grading and all this homework and journals and trying to get grades in and I have meetings after school or volleyball or whatever it is. Like, that is sometimes the best thing that you can do. And then other times I just grade, like I'll look at kids' grades and I'll figure out like, so if there's a study guide, let's say there's 10 questions on the study guide, I know which 3 were the most difficult and that I think kids are going to have the most trouble with. If it says, what is the setting? Probably you're going to get that right. So I go to those 3 questions that are the most difficult and I let those decide whether or not someone did well or not. I think also having students help you grade stuff, especially if you have like a multiple choice portion or a matching portion on test or assessment, or which is the same thing. You have them grade. So I give kids extra credit after school. I'm like, hey, I'll give you extra credit if you come in and do this. And it's just extra credit, not on the test, but on classwork. Like, you went above and beyond, you stayed after. And then I use that time to like get to know students also, which is a whole nother like move that I make. But doing that really helps. Also, I've been using an app called, and this isn't, I don't work with these folks, but it's called ZipGrade. And ZipGrade, if you do multiple choice, you just download, I don't know if I can show you this on here, but like, so ZipGrade looks like this one right here with the check. Click on it and you get like a certain number of tests. And then what you do is you scan this over the paper and in like less than a second, it grades it, records the student's name, what they got wrong, how many they got wrong. This is a really great tool because it averages up like, all right, this many kids got number 1 wrong or number 7 wrong. And you're like, shit, should I have asked that question? Like, did we go into that enough? Did I cover that enough? Like, it lets you reflect on the things that you may or may not have done right or wrong either. So I think that is just a good way to do that as well. So those are like a couple quick ideas I do. But yeah, I just wouldn't grade that late. I think that putting that time back into yourself is far better. Oh, snap, did I just close that?
You did.
I deeply apologize.
Yeah.
With my whole heart. I do.
All right.
You know why?
No, you don't get to sing. You don't get to sing now because that was your fault, not my fault.
Very clear. 'Cause we're both sitting. All right. Question is from Gabriel. Gabriel is asking, why is teaching so tough compared to how it was 100 years ago? I don't know about 100 years ago, but close enough. Gabriel, I think because teaching was created to create workers. So like once people like Henry Ford started having factories that took folks coming out from farms into the city and put them in charge of a job. They didn't know how to build a car, but they knew how to make a carburetor or a part of an engine or putting together like a steering app or whatever the hell this steering thing is called, right? Steering thing. that was their job. They weren't specialized. They had like, or they were super specialized in just this one little thing. And so we created schools that worked around that, right? That got kids to be quiet, to raise their hand when they had a question, we trained kids to be workers. The problem is we're still training kids to be workers, and those jobs are largely gone or don't really exist. And we're not creating schools for kids that are different than that. Also, since then, there's all this new knowledge around the fact that kids learn different, or that things like dyslexia or auditory processing disorder exist, or autism, or Asperger's, or dyscalculia, or dysgraphia. Like, all of these things have kind of come to light, but we're still teaching like it was 100 years ago, right? Somebody once recently said, I don't know if I said this on a live feed, that if Rip Van Winkle woke up today, right? This is the story of a guy who fell asleep for like a very long time. And if he woke up today, the only thing he would recognize is the public education system. And so it's not to say that it's all bad. Like, there are things that teachers are doing, that educators are doing, that administrators are doing that are right, that are good, that are going the right way. But you still walk into classrooms and all the desks are in lines. You still walk into the classroom and it's kind of run the same way. Plus, school's made for vanilla kids. And what happens if your kid's mint chocolate chip or peanut butter bliss or whatever?
Not only do you have all the special education needs that are like more apparent now, I think then you have like, we have bigger things happening in our inner cities. Like, there are more things that kids are having to deal with at home because parents both work full time, or there's all kinds of like divorce rates. There's all kinds of like family dynamics and units that have changed so drastically. And I think that makes a ripple effect out into even to teachers and educators.
Yeah.
And schools.
You're right. So that's my answer. Becca the Blondie. What a great name. Love it. I am really shy, but I'm really passionate about teaching. Any tips to develop confidence in front of students? I started teaching at 20, and I want my students to take me seriously. So Becca, I think, wow, that's really young. But that was primary. Did that right? Puck full primary. Michelle, she was really young as well. I think she graduated high school when she was like 16 or something like that. Or is that when she made her first rocket ship? I forget. Sorry. So I think, look, I know a lot of teachers. My friend Edie that helps me out on social media and stuff like that is always saying how she's very shy. I've had other friends that have talked about their shyness in class, and friends that I know that are like super introverted, but in the classroom, they just that's where they need to be. I think it is entering in to where you feel comfortable and not trying to be something that you're not. So a lot of times, look, people watch, my channel is the only one I really, really know. And so if you were to watch my channel, you might think that I'm like juggling fire all the time, but I'm not. Like, teaching is it, but how do I say this? I'm not doing that all the time, but what I'm doing is my personality. Like, I wouldn't tell anyone to do something that's outside of their personality. I am not teaching the right way. I'm teaching the right way for me. And so if you are more strict, more quiet, I think you can still get respect. My friend Randy Rebai is, who you can check out on Twitter and stuff like that. He's like big time author now. Randy is super quiet. He's the guy that sits at parties like in the corner. He is like, he's just even the things that he does are like stereotypical like introvert guy. Like, he likes Dungeons and Dragons and he goes to Comic-Con and he wears like collects lightsabers and shit like that, I think. But like, Randy though had one of the most engaging classrooms, one of the most locked down classrooms. And when we taught, the students would say like he was one of those teachers that they learned the most from over the years, but he was true to himself. He didn't pretend to be anything else. They didn't have to do that for himself. So I think that you just do you, and then you'll figure out as you're going along how that works. If you get stuck in doing it, then I think you should show back up and either on here or in the Facebook group, or we do like mentoring session or something like that, and talk about how you can sort of maximize who you are to benefit your students. But I would not worry about it at all. There are tons of other people out there that are in the same situation and they're being successful. And if one of them is being successful, then you know you could be successful as well.
And there's all type of kid personalities.
Oh, for sure. That's a good point too. Yeah, like look for the kids like
you.
That are like you. The kids that like need someone that's quiet, someone that's like, you know, more like the person you are. Those students need, and I think that is really important as well. Morgan Brown is asking, I'm about to come to into my first year of teaching, and I'm quote unquote replacing a teacher that is a legend and has been in the high school since it opened. Students loved him, etc. Do you have any advice? Morgan, man, that is tough. But I would say, look, first of all, I'm a bunch of different stuff is running through my head. That's why I'm thinking this. One, people forget who was important, who meant a lot to them fairly quickly, right? Like legends only live on for so long. Like if I think about like when Prince died, that was like a really big deal. Like I don't really get worked up about very many celebrities dying, but like Prince and Robin Williams, like it felt some type of way about for whatever reason. But then the next day happened, and then the next day happened, and then it's like every once in a while I hear a Prince song come on. I'm like, man, shit, I can't believe that guy really died, man. Or Robin Williams movie will come on. I feel the same way. You need to not try and be that person at all. You need to be your own person, and don't even try. I wouldn't. It's like, nah, now I'm the teacher, and I'm going to do like the best I can. And that teacher had years to get to be the best, right? No one's the best from the jump, but what are you going to do that's completely awesome? And if you're taking over for them, what lessons do they have? What curriculum? What kind of stuff do they do that you could use, but through your lens? That like it's coming from you. Like, that's what I would think of. I wouldn't try to be them. I would just bring that energy, bring the passion, bring the excitement, and try and do the best that you can with what you're doing. Like, be that kind of thing. I think a lot of things that one of the things that teachers that they forget all the time is, look, this is important. Your ordinary is somebody else's extraordinary, right? The regular shit you do, whatever that is going to be extraordinary to someone else. And so that's what I would focus on, is being the best you that you can be, and honor that person. That's so great, man. They were at the school for a long time. God bless them, and I hope that they have the best life ever. But guess what? Someone new's come into town, and you could be awesome as well. It makes me think of like any teacher, any singer from a band that ever left and somebody else came in. Like, damn, am I going to talk about Van Halen again? I'm going to talk about Van Halen again.
Because you love Van Halen.
Like, Sammy Hagar didn't try and be David Lee Roth, right? Look at that Filipino kid they found on YouTube that took over for Steve Perry and Journey. He's like killing it now, right? Like, there's just like you don't have to be the stand-in in their band. Like, you don't try and be the person that was there before. I know I keep saying that over and over and over again, but I really want you to get that, and I think that's a really important point. Carol is asking, how do you do I know any autistic teachers? Ooh, do I? I'm gonna think about that for a second. I have a degree in history and poli-sci. I was accepted to an alt-cert program, but was recently diagnosed with ASD. I worry about my sensory issues. Loud, bright the most. Yo, Carol, let me talk about this real quick. Look, I don't know that I know anyone that's autistic, but I do know that from my own standpoint, I do not like bright lights in my classroom. I don't know if that is like, so my son is autistic, and I don't know if any of that comes from like, if any of these things are connection pieces between us, like, or how they're connected. But like my classroom, I have low lights all the time. I have track lighting in my room, or I get like those, you can get them at Five and Below also. They're like these light strips that you put like behind your TV or under a bookshelf. And that's how my whole room is lit. Or I just open my shade slightly. But the kids love it because it's a way more chill vibe in my room than walking and having like freaking crazy town in there. I keep a very cool vibe in my class. It's part of the reason it's decorated the way that it is, because it makes me feel calm, makes the kids feel calmer, and it creates like this vibe of like going in, it feels homey and like you kind of want to be there. So I think that works as well. And as far as like Like I have sensory stuff as well. Like I can't wear certain clothes. Like you'll never see me wear like regular jeans. I would love to, but they literally make my skin crawl and make me feel crazy. So I wear the same few pairs of pants all year long, right? And sometimes I get into a jam where I'm wearing like the same pair of pants. I clean them, but I wear those shits for like weeks on end because I can't stand it. I think you just figure out how to deal with whatever your jam is. Because look, if you think about it, there's teachers out there that really struggle with depression or with anxiety or with being around too many people, but you want to do the job, right? Like this is the job for you, but it's just, there's this kind of roadblock. You learn to sort of dance with it instead of run from it. And I think that that's really how you do it. And then look, you know, even in thinking about my son or other folks that I've met that are autistic, I just think of all the blessings that come with that also. Like the ability to, my son has and I'm not trying to like stereotype anyone that's autistic or like group everyone together and saying, here's how everyone is. But in looking through my son's eyes, he has a heart that like I see very other few kids have. Like he's extremely compassionate. My son walks into school every day. From our house, he walks to the school and he says hi to this one crossing guard every day. One day I'm walking into school just recently and she goes, I want you to know that he is one of the sweetest boys and he's one of my favorite kids I see every day. Because he just says hi to her every day. Then I asked him about it. And he goes, oh yeah, I say hi to every single teacher on my way into the school to my classroom. Because I just don't know if they're having a bad day. And I just want them to feel good. What the hell 11-year-old says that in their
at
life?
a teacher conference one time when the teacher said, I love your son. He comes in every day because their class was like right after lunch or something every day. And he goes, hi, so-and-so. Like, did you have a good lunch? Like, did you have a nice break? I hope you had a nice break, you know, just comes in like happy-go-lucky him.
I think it's like, that compassion piece.
There needs to be I think that's why all teachers have different personalities, right? They aren't going to fit every student, but there is a teacher out there. There's some teacher out there, usually in the building, that can connect with a child because everybody is so different. But there's pockets, right? Everybody has a group.
Because even as much as I'm about relationships, I do not kid down with every single student. I can't. Sometimes there's like we just clash and they don't like jokes. They don't like silliness. They don't like funny. They don't like, you know, they need a different type of teacher to connect with. Look for the teacher. When you show up to teach, look for the student you were there to teach, right? There's someone there that you were meant to be there for. I really think find that kid and then be that teacher for them.
I just think, and you make your room and your rules and create your vibe to fit who you are as a teacher. 100%. Like it should fit your sensory issues. It should fit your, the noise level and all of that. I think.
Yeah, I think own it and go with it. Good for you.
So do we know any? No, but now we do.
I know. I really want to like keep up on that. I'd love to know, like, give us an update because someone else along the line is going to come up. It's like we got an email not too long ago from someone that was blind, and they said, "Do I know any blind teachers?" And I was like, "Nope," but now I do.
But now there's a few of them in the teacher talk group that connect. Like someone's a senior. One of them is a senior high school and teacher, and
on the Facebook group.
Wait, she's a high school student. She's a senior and she wants to be a teacher.
Yeah.
And I think that there's someone else in the group that is blind that's already a teacher that they've been able to connect in there. I think.
Indigo is asking, hey Reynolds, I love your content. Thanks a lot. Appreciate it. I work with students from grades K through 12. Can you recommend any good YouTubers who focus on working with younger students? I would say, again, one fab teacher, she doesn't make YouTube content anymore, but all of her videos are still up there. She just stopped 6 months ago or something like that. She makes really great content and it's really real. And she is, I've met her online on the phone and stuff several times. She is just like who she is on YouTube in real life. Kate the Sleepy Teacher's content, she has a lot of different types of content, but I really think that her teaching is solid, that her classroom really runs well, that she has really great ideas and stuff. Who else teaches young kids that I'm just thinking off the top of my head? I don't want to miss, so if anyone watches,
there's more younger most YouTubers, I think, are the younger grades, like elementary or middle school. There's very few high school, but she Classroom Diva. She's a great teacher and good content.
Yeah, Classroom Diva. She doesn't
not in
make
the classroom anymore.
Yeah, she doesn't make classroom content anymore, but a Classroom Diva, she has really good content. So I think there's tons of people out there that you can find. And then I would look for collaboration videos. So like, even if they don't like do it for you, a collaboration video. So like, I just put out one today with a bunch of other YouTubers. They're good to look at to see. I only work with folks that I appreciate. Like, I don't like, I just not anyone that really, I don't have anyone that like I haven't.
I don't think there's any YouTuber that's bad. That's a bad teacher.
No,
YouTuber.
I think you're
like,
right. There's not anyone that's just like flat out like, dude, what are you talking about? Why are you even on here? But I think that what that'll do is send you down a road to like see who else is out there. And there's a lot of those collabs. We do them for Christmas and teacher appreciation, and we just did one for end of the year activities. What you got there, dude? Hit him.
Don't do it.
Hit him. I'm trying to think of a good song, and you're messing it up. Sailing, take me away to something. No one knows what the rest of that song is. They just know those two parts.
Erica.
That's the part when everyone looks out the window and they just go. What was she saying?
She put music notes on the screen.
While I'm waiting for my wife, Erica Johnson said, one fat teacher stopped making content. Yeah, it took up too much of her time. She felt like she wasn't doing a good job as good of a job in the classroom as she was before YouTube, because she was like taking up too much time doing it. It's a lot. I mean, it's a ton of work. What's up, Kafoople? Kafoople's on there. Oh, she's answering to someone else.
Mm-hmm.
I was just looking at Kafoople. You sent my daughter, or you sent me a little koala bear in the mail one time, a bunch of other stuff, and Marley stole it immediately, and it is hanging in her room. I saw it in there the other day, and I was like, "Oh, that's the Kafoople koala." Raphael, I think it is. I think that's what it is. Is asking, I'm a sophomore in college, and I have a lot of anxiety with doing something meaningful with my life. I'm thinking about becoming a teacher, but I'm overwhelmed. What pushed you to teaching? So look, I never wanted to be a teacher in my life. And if I have a whole video on this, but like the short of it was, I didn't care about school. I went to high school because it was fun, not because I wanted to learn shit. And so, but then I got out of high school, and through a series of events, it went something like carpenter I wanted to be, a drummer, a clown, a priest, and then someone said, why not be a teacher? And those things together all kind of were all the ingredients I felt like for the kind of teacher that I wanted to be. All those things I wanted to be before. And so I just started doing it. I started working like as part of an after school program. Do you remember that? We used to work in North Philly at that Saturday school thing that we did. And it was awesome. It was like, I knew immediately that this is what I was supposed to be doing. So I would suggest, look, over the summer, like maybe working at a camp, maybe tutoring kids, maybe working as sort of some like a summer program at a school or something like that, to get around young people and start doing some sort of teaching and seeing if that's a fit for you. And then if it is, you know it. And if you're like, nah, this is actually the worst. But look, you're really young too. And I'm sure people say that to you all the time. Like, people also say that I'm young, and I think they're probably insane, but like, you have time. So just keep looking for what it is that is the right fit, but go just try that stuff. Like, go get caught up in teaching it and go as deep as you can and see if that's a good fit. And then you'll know. But look, I didn't start teaching until I was 27. I just kind of like wasn't exactly sure what I was supposed to be doing. And then once you find that thing, you know, you're still better off than most of the rest of the people on earth, because I just feel like there's so many folks out there and people that we even know that are just like waiting. They're 40 years old and they're trying to figure out what the hell to do with their life. And, you know, so if it takes you 5 years to figure it out, like you're still okay. Eric Johnson is asking, hey, Reynolds, towards the end of summer break, are you excited or dreading heading back to school? I'm always looking forward to heading back to school. Even if I'm not exactly sure what to expect that year, I don't do sitting around easily. So even yesterday, it was really nice. Like my mother-in-law's in town. My brother-in-law was over with his kids and my kids were here and like everyone was hanging out. My mother-in-law is Mexican, so she made like really great like salsa and some kind of bean thing. And like everyone was just chilling. I can do that for a little bit, but then I just kept disappearing and going into the backyard or like cleaning up something. I finished my fence, but no one even knew I was out there working on it. Like I just can't sit around that much. So I would be a really lame rich person, I think. Like when I think of like rich and you're just like, I made it. Now we're just chilling. I think I could do that shit for like a week and then I'd be like, hell with this. Let's go get a job somewhere.
My absolute very favorite thing is to sit on the beach. I literally could sit on the beach all day. I love it's like so peaceful and it's like torture. And I make CJ go every year for my birthday because I love it, but he hates just sitting there.
So what do? I'm boogie boarding with the kids. I'm in the ocean. I'm taking long walks. We're collecting seashells. I'm digging giant holes. I'm building sandcastles because I can't just sit around that long. But I find that my excitement to actually go back into the classroom does not hit until like mid to late August. It's like right before we go back that I get super excited about it. A lot of that time I'm sort of dreading because I'm
to be fair,
I'm always afraid every year someone's going to figure out that I'm a fraud and that I'm not that good at my job.
No,
every year.
Yeah, but I think that you're like not feeling ready to go back until mid-August is because of YouTube. That didn't start until YouTube because you do teacher content all summer.
Yeah, that's true.
And I think that you used to be ready to go back mid-July.
Yeah, we were also super broke back then too.
That's true.
And I had to work like 17 jobs in the summer.
But I think if you stay away from teaching stuff as much as possible in the summertime, which is hard,
that's true.
You I think feel more rejuvenated. But if you work all summer on teaching stuff or tutor or whatever it is,
mentoring,
I think that can burn you out.
Yeah, it's possible. Ingrid is asking, how do you teach compassion to your children at home? This is a very good question. Good job. So I'm thinking, how do I teach compassion to my children at home? We do
a lot of dialogue.
We do.
We do a lot of
when we had kids, we noticed that some parents are couch parents. Like they just do that thing where like sit on the couch, chilling, talking to someone, watching TV, and they go, yo, don't touch that. I'm not coming up. Do not make me get up and come over there. Stop. Go get upstairs. Get upstairs. But they don't actually like get up off their ass. And my dog is completely confused right now. They don't get up off their ass and actually handle the situation. So like when our kids were little, like from putting them in timeout to putting them in timeout again because they got up out of it, to handling something, to hearing something in the backyard, it's about getting up and going and dealing with it. And then not just getting them in trouble, not just yelling, not just, like I've never hit my kid. I actually hit my son one time because he almost ran out into the street. He wasn't listening. So I smacked him on the ass to stop him from getting killed. And he still brings it up all the time. You did hit me one time. Remember that time in the street? Yeah, when I saved your life, bro. He still brings that shit up.
I know.
But it is about talking to my kids about not just lecturing them, but like, look, this is why that's not a good idea. Or how would you feel? Or what do you think? Like, how would that make getting them to engage in it so that they can actually understand and build that sort of empathetic muscle that they need to get through life? It's about having conversations with my children.
It's the long way around for parenting.
Oh,
our
100%.
parenting takes so much time because I think I think that started naturally just because Brody needed it because he had a lot of difficulties and we just saw that he needed more from us. Do you think we would have intentionally done that stuff if Brody wasn't like the way he was?
Yes.
Yeah.
100%.
I'm not so sure that I would have because I was raised like that though.
I teach through having conversations with students.
You do, and you break it down to students.
And all of our friends, growing up, it was like learning how to create dialogue with people, learning how to close the loop, learning how to have hard conversations.
Yes.
And that I think that we've learned the value of that, and that's the only way to do it. So that's how you do that kind of stuff with your own kids too. Brittany C is asking, how do you deal with students who are always negative towards your class? Britt, I have a kid that is going to be a senior next year that is miserable every time he sees me. every single time. He just tells me how I'm not cool, that get out of here. You think you're cool. Like he'll make fun of like my tattoos and stuff like that. Like
there's kind
I don't know where that comes from, but I just act like I'm the most excited to see him that I could ever be to see a child. Oh my gosh, you're here. Dude, I'm so glad that you came to school today. I give him hugs all the time, even though he doesn't want them. I just give him like random, I'll be like, you get imaginary extra credit because you like put both your shoes on today. I'm like really, really proud of you. Like just stupid stuff. And I think that just breaks kids down. And then there's other kids that don't like me that I'm just like, I just get over it. Like, and I try, and look, that's not easy for me because I like when people like me. That is sort of the dark side of narcissism, is like liking when people like you. But the light side of narcissism, I think, is figuring out how to connect with people, figuring out how to connect with certain types of people and how they work and operate and how you can make those connections. So when that doesn't work, what I have to do is like just focus on students that really want to be in my class, that are excited about being there. I think a lot of times we, instead of going and getting the new boyfriend who's actually going to treat you right, you try and fix the old boyfriend that doesn't treat you right. And you're like, no, but I know I can't give up on him. Like I can get there. And it's like, why? Like sometimes it's like, why put all that time and effort in when you can just go like stop fixing your old car, go get a new one, and it works better. I think students are like that sometimes too, where we need to focus more on the students that are really, that need it and want the attention, are willing to have the conversations and grow and learn and stuff, and stop focusing on just the kids that are not interested in it.
Yeah, she says, how do you have advice to not let it bother you?
Yeah, I think, look, I mean, this is super corny sounding, but I literally sit when I meditate in the morning and I think about not just teachers, but friends, old friends, family members that I have a hard time with. And I literally think about any good thing about them and try and send kind of like, this is where we get woo woo, but like try and like send kind of, I think about them in a loving way as best I can, or like project love towards them. And look, whether you like that or not, whether you believe in that crap or not, like there's something to like, otherwise it's you being mad all the time, you degrading them all the time. And instead just thinking about that sort of like kindness about them, it breaks that wheel, Game of Thrones reference, and helps you exercise that muscle more, and you just get better at it. Like, and I've had great success with people in my life that have been so awful to me, like horrifically awful to me, have done things that like are just like, you're just an asshole. And I've like literally written them letters of like, hey man, here's all the great stuff you ever did for me, and I'm really thankful for it. And then that's me kind of giving that gift, and I can shut it down. Now I'm finished with it, and I don't have to go back to that all the time. And so that's just something that's worked for me. What you got, dude?
Just a few more because we have to go.
Reynolds, any advice for substitute teachers? So I do, this is Trimaze. I'm not sure if that's your name or if that's just a screen name, but like, I think when you're a substitute teacher, don't overdo it, right? It is like, when I, look, this is my advice. When I cover a class for anyone, now look, I win because a lot of the students know me, but not all of them do. I will literally go, all right, here's the idea here. This is the lesson your teacher left. And not everyone's going to do this. There are other teachers that have other ways. This works for me. This is the assignment that was left. If you would like to listen to music while you're doing it, that's fine. What I need from you is for you to stay in your seat and be doing something, whether that's this assignment or it's a different assignment. Maybe you have a science test next period and you want to study that. Whatever you're doing something, and you're being quiet and staying in your seat. If you need anything, just ask me. And then when those certain pockets of kids that are knuckleheads start popping up, I just go over and start interacting with them. Like, I'll wait to hear what they're talking about, or I'll ask a question like, hey, are there, like, what do you guys think about this school? Like, what's this class like normally? Like, do you like it? Do you not like it? Like, what's the best thing that you did all year? Is there something like what do you like, does this fit into your later life plan, or like what are you doing this summer? That is how I combat bad behavior, is by going and talking to those kids and refocusing their energy on that. That way, the next time you get called back to sub at that place and those kids are acting up again, you can use like that relationship that you've built. Like, oh, hey man, you're in this class also. Hey, whatever happened with that thing? Did you go see the movie? Did you play the game? Did you, has that class changed? And whatever it is, like you have something to connect with, and then you become like known as a substitute that cares. So that would be my, that's kind of how I roll out with that stuff.
Someone asked, do you play a musical instrument other than singing?
I do. I play drum.
Wait, we just want to say that other than singing would insinuate that you are a singer. Let me tell you, he is not.
I sing all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Really think this is
okay.
I played drums since I was in third or fourth grade, something like that. Around the same time that I realized that the recorder was not my jam, even though I love taking it home every day. And I played piano for a little bit when I was little, but that's going to be, so this year I'm running every single day for a year, which I still have to do tonight. Run every single day for a year. And then next year, I think I'm going to do play piano every day for a year, and then see how much piano I can learn in
All
a
right,
year.
this is our last question because we have a niece's birthday party.
Yeah, my niece's birthday party is this evening.
Well, they're almost Irish. I thought that was just a really good question.
Sure. Laylee Monroe is asking, how much to share is too much? I had a student tell me that his brother overdosed and was in the hospital. My brother died of an overdose, and I don't want to make it about me or make him uncomfortable. Look.
No, that's sharing your...
Laylee, I think I'm saying your name right. That's a really great question. I think that sharing those sorts of things with students, look, I'm not trying to get anyone in trouble. I don't want to tell you to do the wrong thing. There's teachers that are going to tell you that you shouldn't share that shit, that you keep it to yourself, that you send that kid to the guidance. Right. I just think that a lot of times guidance is misguided. I think that it is from your heart that really makes kids feel like they're not alone. So if I look at someone that says, my brother was OD'd, and maybe you don't know what they're thinking. Are they thinking about maybe that what if that happens to them? What if their brother dies? What happens next? What goes on in rehab? And you have a story that connects you, a person who has clearly gotten their shit together, that is teaching, that is doing something that you love, has come out of that situation, like out of knowing someone in a similar way. That gives someone hope. It gives someone a connection point. When I have students that have had a parent that has died or lost someone else, I don't try and share my experience. So both of my parents died. Like my mother died in my arms when I was 22 years old. And so I don't share that story lightly with students because I want to be equal with them, or because I want to say it's, there's the reason I do it, rather than instead of focusing on why I don't do it, the reason I do it is because I want you to know that I get it on some level, that I've been through something hard too, and that you can grow from it, you can learn from it, you can get better from it, and it doesn't define your life. But there's all this goodness that can come out of heartbreak, out of hardship. And so that's what I would say. You don't have to your attention is more important than your advice. So often we do not know what to talk about with students or how to respond, but it is saying, hey man, I really appreciate you sharing that with me. And one of the things I say to kids all the time is I'm really honored that you would even share that with me. You could have told anyone in this building or just kept it to yourself. So the fact that you shared that sort of vulnerability, that hurt, that loneliness with me, I appreciate it. And I want you to know that I'm here for anything that I can help you with. And then for something like that, I'd of course put some sort of guidance or social worker in, get them in the loop, because they might have resources that you do not have. But I think being careful is key, but look, man, if it's a heart level that you're just trying to connect with someone and make someone feel less alone, I say do it. That's what I would do.
Someone said, to build off that, what if the student goes around sharing the story now that that teacher is known kind of like for the one that their brother died from an OD? Like, do you think if you're sharing that moment that student can go and like
never
share
happened to me in my life? I'll tell you why. Because kids aren't even used to adults coming to them and talking with them about that stuff. It just doesn't happen, right? Like, I talk about this all the time where like teachers are like, parents don't talk to their kids like that. Like uncles and aunts, like it's so rare. Everyone had that one uncle or aunt or older cousin that got along with all the kids in the family because they knew how to relate. But most people don't, or they're not interested in relating. And I think I would never, ever, ever operate out of that sense of fear anyway, because it's going to limit me in 1,000 different ways. I think that you need to be the kind of person and say, screw the repercussions sometimes. Like, and what happens if they do talk about that, right? Like if we say that, like, yeah, it really did happen to me. But look, the reason I share that story is because I want to uplift people. Like, and if someone wants to dog you for that shit, like that's on them. That's them dealing with an inability to be vulnerable or to be comfortable with vulnerability. And it's like, all right, maybe you're going to do that, but I don't care. So like, that's like when Brody's friend the other day said, I always do drawings in my kids' lunch when I'm home. When my wife is making lunch, I do like a little drawing. I put it in there. And some kid told Brody the other day that my drawing was terrible and that your dad's probably gay. And so my son came home and he was like, first of all, I don't even know what the hell that means. And he was like, but I thought your drawing was really good. And he's like, I don't want you to feel bad. And I thought, first of all, why would I feel bad? Like, gay is not even a good insult. First of all, like if you want to insult me, like let's go. Like I'll go back and forth with you. But like let's think of something useful. But the other thing is, I'm not going to not do those drawings for my son because some kid talks shit. Like I do them because I love my student. I know what my why is, and that's all that matters, and that's all that should matter to you all as well. So look, I'm going to get out of here because my nieces, Jacinda and Jayla, are having a birthday party tonight, and we're going to go over their house and celebrate that with them. Look, gang, I hope you have a great rest of your weekend. I hope everybody has off tomorrow if you're in the United States. And if you're not, I don't know, tell everybody else that the United States has off tomorrow and that you want to have off tomorrow as well. And that's it. Anything else?
If you, no, yes. If you, I know I didn't do the alligator thing. I'm really sorry.
I told her, first of all, the crocodiles.
Oh, crocodile, whatever. Family's in town. I'm sorry, I was a little backed up. But anybody who, I have all your names written down, and anybody who did an alligator emoji, I will just send you one. So look for a comment from me tonight because I need your address.
That's what you said before.
No, I was going to pick somebody, but now I don't have to pick anybody because we have enough, just enough people.
Oh,
so everyone's going to get one.
Everyone got one.
Yes.
All right, everyone's a winner. You got a crocodile water pistol, and you got a crocodile. All right, that was too much. All right, everybody. We'll see you next week. Peace. Awkward ending on the hit the